Senator Babet.
Thank you, Acting Deputy President. Thank you. Now, our Prime Minister, Mr Albanese, he has gotten himself into a bit of a hole, hasn't he? Now, having gambled, and that's what he's done, having gambled most of his political credit on a now completely discredited voice. A constitutional change famously supported by, guess who? Shaquille O'Neal and MC Hammer, but subsequently rejected by an overwhelming majority of Australians. He now finds himself wondering what to do next. Well, Prime Minister, can I offer a suggestion? Now, the first rule of holes is that when you find yourself in a hole, you stop digging. And yet I fear that digging himself into an even deeper hole is exactly what the Prime Minister plans to do. Having inflicted this expensive, divisive and unpopular referendum upon the Australian people, Prime Minister Albanese, he plans to double down. He plans to go again. This time, he might ask Australians to vote on becoming a republic. Now, if the Prime Minister wants to pursue this course, it would certainly raise the question as to whether he has some sort of self-sabotage issue going on. Referendums, they are notoriously difficult to win and impossible to win without bipartisan support. Now, the Prime Minister, he already knew that when he forged ahead without bipartisan support with his recent constitutional adventurism. Now, it beggars belief that he might want to go again, that he might want to try again. Not only is there no bipartisan support for a republic, but there's no popular support. Who wants a washed-up politician becoming president? Not me, that's for sure. Now, polling published in the Sydney Morning Herald in January showed that support for a republic was at just 39%, rock bottom. Now, if that poll is accurate, Australians are even less inclined to vote for a republic now than they were in the expensive failed referendum of 1999. So, why, in Prince Harry's name, having inflicted one failed national vote on a populace who are far more concerned about power bills than the Prime Minister's constitutional fetish, would Prime Minister Albanese force us back to the ballot box again, potentially? Can you imagine this? Having to endure another year being preached at by everyone from Magda Szubanski to Qantas and the AFL, but this time in favour of a republic? No thank you. Honestly, a Meghan Markle Netflix series would be more appealing, and that says a lot, than another referendum at this point. Now, I think we should remind our Prime Minister that winning a referendum requires a double majority. You require a majority of support from states and voters nationwide. Majority means more than 50% for the Prime Minister. Now, I know, Prime Minister, that your government was elected on a primary vote of just 32.6%, but that vote is not sufficient to amend our nation's most important document, our Constitution. Now, I know that the Prime Minister has relocated to the Lodge in Canberra. He's there full-time. Now, it would appear that there is something that happens to a man when he relocates to Canberra, to this place. The Canberra bubble is all-consuming. What is in the water? I don't know. Now, the ACT stood alone in support of the voice and in support of this referendum. And they stood alone for one reason: the ACT is just out of touch with reality. That's pretty clear. Even my home state of Victoria, my home state, who overwhelmingly rejected this proposal and previously voted for Chairman Premier Daniel Andrews. Now, the working class, we clearly reject constitutional change. Now, our Prime Minister, what's he doing? He's living in denial. He's dug himself into a hole. And it would seem to me anyway that he's intent on digging his political grave. Now, let's just watch Treasurer Chalmers and Minister Plibersek fight with each other to hand him that shovel. Now, recognising that the Prime Minister is likely to ignore my advice and go right ahead and continue digging, can I ask one small favour, Prime Minister, just one small favour, on behalf of all Australians out there that are sick of all this garbage? If with all your digging of holes, if you and your party manage to find where you buried my $275 power bill saving, I and many other Australians would be very grateful. Thank you, Prime Minister.